This model review is of the Revell F-14 Tomcat. It's also 1/32 scale, so this is a very large model, as you can see by the size of this box. It shows you here the finished model. A fair amount of detail. Here's another picture of the finished model. And here's the cockpit. And the tail. This is 60 centimeters as well, very large model. This one I also bought online. It had already been started by somebody else. I don't mind buying these online if they've already been started. Let's have a look at our decals here. Not very many details here. These are very nice decals, but a lot of the decals really they don't put on here, and they probably should. Here's the top part of the fuselage, very well molded. A couple of areas that'll need to be sanded down, but very large model, as you can tell. Recessed panel lines. Here's the lower portion of the fuselage, and it's already been spray painted white here. And these are our weapon rails here, been put on, and our fins, the ventral fins. Let's have a look. Here's our glass, and this has been fairly well molded. Here's one side of the nose. Here's the other side. So that will go together there. And that's also very nicely molded. Although it looks like there's some warping to this piece. But I'm sure that's easily correctable. All recessed panel lines. Here's our nose wheel well. Looks like they've already painted that. But there's some detail on there. Here are our exhausts, and these have been painted silver already. Here are our two wings. Now the F-14 was the swing wing, so we have these which will interlock and rotate, and yeah, it looks pretty good. Here's our elevator, which has already been put together, and it looks like it's been sanded down almost, but these will rotate backwards and forwards. I need to fix that edging there. Here we have our ejection seats, and those are very nicely detailed actually. These have already been primed. Here are the two bottom areas of the air intake that have been painted white, but these will need to be sanded down and done again. You can see some of the ejector pin areas from when the model was being molded. Here is our cockpit. There's a lot of detail here in this cockpit. It looks very nice. Looks like they started painting it and then it's been primed over. It needs really another coat of primer. Here are the two ducts for the jet engines, painted silver. We have some of the rockets. These are actually very well made. Nice mold lines. It looks like we have 4 of those. We have some fuel tanks. Need to sand those down a little bit. These are the missile pods. So these sit underneath like this. And a missile sits here and a missile sits there. Here's our nose. What about, sorry, our main gear actually. It's a fair level of detail, but is missing some of the lines. Here's our nose cone. There's some more lines there. A few parts left on the sprue. Looks like our wheel cover areas. One tail and two tails. So those will go on like that. Very nicely molded, actually. Here's the other main gear. We do have some mold lines where it's put together. Missiles. And some additional missiles. That's missing a piece. I need to use some epoxy if we don't have that piece in here. Here's our nose gear. Here's a pod to add. Some of the wheels. Some nice details here. Here's our hook. This is a Navy plane. It needs to be sanded down. Here's our nose wheel. There's the other side of that. Looks like we have some of the pitot tubes. It looks like our ejection handles. So those have already been built on here. And more wheel parts. More wheel parts here. And another wheel part there. Looks like we have another instrument panel. It's interesting. Here are our wheels. So we have two for the front. And those are very nicely molded. So we need to scuff them up a little bit to make sure that they look like they've actually been used a couple of times. Here are the instructions. Let's go through these instructions. So first of all, the tail wing gets put together. Here's a list of all the colors. Put together the cockpit with the ejection seats. Put that into the nose with the wheel well. Putting the wheels together. Sorry, the wings together. Putting together the fuselage. Then the air intakes, the weapons pods, weapon rails, putting those all on, then the nose gear, putting on the main gear, and then putting on some of the weapon systems here, and in the tail. Some additional parts in the nose. Canopy can be left open or closed. And then we have the decal and paint guide. So, fair level of detail. Some mold lines and flashing, but otherwise it's going to be a great model.